I've lost one, but he'll be with us shortly. So thank you so much for having us here today. We are thrilled to be here. I'm with the Global Cyber Alliance. We're a nonprofit organization dedicated to making the internet a safer place, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I am joined today by three great panelists. And I'm going to have them go down the line and briefly introduce themselves and the work that they do. So, Ken?
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to talk with you. My name is Kenn Kern. I'm with the New York County District Attorney's Office, more commonly known as the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. I'm a prosecutor, been with the office 15 years. I serve on behalf of District Attorney Cyrus R. Vance, Jr. It's a great pleasure to be here today. Thank you for the opportunity to do so. I serve as the office's Chief Information Officer and a Special Assistant for International Relations.
Hello. Okay, this one works. Hi, everyone. My name is Brigit Goebelbecker, and I'm Project Manager for Cyber NYC. I'm going to take a quick moment to describe what that is and put it in context. So I work for the New York City Economic Development Corporation, which is the main economic development vehicle for the city. And we do two main things, one of which is we manage real estate for the city. Some of that is Coney Island, the 42nd Street corridor, the ferries, the helicopters, all sorts of things that are totally different from what I do with my job. We use the revenues that we generate from the real estate side of our agency to invest in different industry development programs. So we identify different industries that, for whatever reason, are not growing organically within the city. That could be blockchain, fashion, AI, life sciences. And we come up with strategic interventions that last 3 to 5 years, where we inject capital into those industries, hope that they kind of take the boost and then thrive, but then we take out our money, and it's a test. It's a thesis to see if it will work and if New York is ready for that industry. So I'm a part of the team that's doing that for cybersecurity. It launched about a year ago, and I'm really excited to be here. Thank you.
I'll make this a little bit easier so we don't have to reach across. Hi, I'm Jon Brickey. I'm a Senior Vice President and Cybersecurity Evangelist at Mastercard. I served 26 years in the military before joining Mastercard. Worked at NSA, Cyber Command, Army Cyber Command, professor up the Hudson here at West Point. And at Mastercard, I lead a team of researchers, as well as architects, educators, trainers, et cetera.
Great, thank you. So we're here today to talk about cyber threats and the risks to small businesses and what's happening here in New York. And the first thing I wanted to do was talk a little bit about some really great things that are happening here in New York to help address cyber threats. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Kenn Kern, who is going to talk about the CCSI program that is a joint collaboration between several of the agencies.
Aimee, thank you so much. I'm joined by Ophelia Defran, who is with me. We're going to show you some slides. I want to start by 4 years ago, the district attorney, along with the City of London Police Commissioner, said we have to get away from just prosecuting and reacting to cybercrime. We have to do something different. We've got to actually try to prevent cybercrime. So working with Aimee and her team at Global Cyber Alliance, GCA does a marvelous job of focusing on prevention. And Aimee's going to talk a little bit about this initiative, which is a cross-border, cross-sector approach to bringing tools all designed to helping democratize cybersecurity, making sure people have the tools they need in order to prevent these threats. But can I tell you, share with you a little bit about what I'm seeing as a professional within the New York City government on cybersecurity. Frankly, the nation and the world is being attacked, and they're being attacked in the cyber front. Let me share with you some slides. Ophelia, do you mind? If we can go back to that first one. Atlanta, as you may all know, not so long ago was attacked by ransomware, and that was the first time it came on the national screen, all focused on basically hobbling a large, important city, and ransomware at $50,000 price tag, if you wanted to, the attacker said $50,000 will unlock your city. But it didn't stop there. It went next to Baltimore, with a lifeline of cyber, with a connection between a citizen and public safety. An ambulance, somebody gets sick and they need to call upon 911. The attack on Baltimore severed and hobbled the 911 system, that most critical function for our communities. Didn't stop there. Next up, ransomware attacks hit 22 Texas towns, basically putting those counties in peril and locking those computer systems. Didn't stop there. Louisiana. First time in the nation's history there was a cyber state of emergency. You ever heard of that before? What a crisis. Hit our educational system in Louisiana. Governor said, we have a state of emergency we're defining as a cyber one. What did it mean? It meant he had to close the school system because they couldn't operate. We're all digital nowadays. Our students, my children, all live in a different world than when I grew up with notebooks. It's all online. So this system was shut down. I will tell you, over the last 5 years, reported attacks against municipalities, that is state governments and cities, 170 over the last 5 years. Those are the ones that are reported. Ransomware is really putting a chokehold on our safety as citizens. Now, there's a lot of good news that I'm going to turn to in a second, but this is the negative stuff. Next slide, please. So more articles on it. Next, Ophelia. Okay, how about a solution? Along with Global Cyber Alliance, my office, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, New York City Police Department, and the New York City Cyber Command, we said, what are we going to do to take that GCA model and bring it home right here in New York? Meaning, how are we going to work across sectors in this beautiful city to protect our communities from these sort of attacks? How are we putting together the folks who run our hotels with the folks who run hospitals, who are emergency services? 17 different sectors here in New York. And was launched in April 1 of this year, something called New York City Cyber Critical Services and Infrastructure, New York City CCSI, designed to do three things. Number one, share information real time. Put professionals on notice using your smartphone. So if I see a threat in emergency services, I'm communicating that threat to a colleague who runs hospitals. Number two, training jointly, making sure we develop best practices and we learn what real-time threat looks like. And number three, having a volunteer army of cyber professionals ready to go in case that threat hits a particular sector and they don't have enough skilled professionals to respond. So 2 seconds, Amy, I'm just going to go through these slides. Next slide, please. Here are the missions and goals, and I'm happy to share this with members of the audience. Next, please. We're now up to 51 organizations. 13 sectors of the 17 are represented under New York City's CCSI. Next slide, please. Bringing together sectors that are represented here for New York City. And then the training jointly heading up to places like Boston and other places where we can put 30 or so New York City professionals across our sectors and get ready for these awful attacks. So I started with the bad. Here's the good news. We're actually doing something about it. And to this audience, I'm asking one thing at the end. Come visit me so I can have you become a part of this. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. So today we're here to talk about the threat against small business. And in getting ready for this, I was curious about how many small businesses there actually are in New York City. And according to the information I found, there's approximately 220,000 small businesses in New York City. And almost 90% of those have fewer than 10 employees, and they account for more than half of the employment in the city. To me, that's absolutely phenomenal, and it just shows the critical economic engine that small businesses are in this community and across the United States. And cybersecurity, the risks are not just for municipalities, government, big business to worry about. They're for all of us to worry about, because the truth is that small businesses are being targeted. And you may think, well, but why do I matter? I'm just a small business. I'm flying under the radar. I don't have the giant brand of a Coca-Cola or a Nike or a Facebook. Why would anybody attack me? And the truth is because those organizations, they've got security. They've got teams of people working on their security 24 hours a day. I liken this part of security to thinking about getting your car broken into. A criminal is going to walk down the street and they're going to go to the easiest, the least path of resistance. It's like flipping the car doors and seeing which one is unlocked. The one that's unlocked is likely the one that's going to get broken into, or the one that has something visible, a bag or something, that they know that there's something there worth grabbing. And that's the position that small businesses are sitting in. So today we're going to talk about what are some of the risks that you're facing and what can we do about it. So I'm actually going to turn to Brigit from the Economic Development Corporation and have her talk about some of the risks that they're seeing for small business. I think you maybe have some research that's getting ready to come out that you can share, and also then have Jon talk about some of the risks that they're seeing small businesses face and why they care to be addressing this issue.
Sure. So to continue off of some of the statistics that Aimee was just saying, is that very similarly, 1.6 million New Yorkers are employed in small businesses. Small businesses are attacked over half of the time of all attacks. So over 50% of all cyber attacks are targeting small businesses. And when that happens, those small businesses can end up having to pay $35,000, which that's a lot. But upwards of $1.5 million also. So that's typically the range for these attacks that could happen to truly anybody in this room. What we're doing from the New York City Economic Development Corporation is trying to support these businesses and trying to support the cybersecurity economy. So while folks like Kenn and Aimee and Jon are doing the security, keeping you safe, keeping your system safe, we're trying to support the businesses and the talent that is working in those businesses. So to do that, we are focusing on small businesses through one program in particular, which is called the Cyber Moonshot Challenge. So what we did is we partnered across city agencies with the Mayor's Office for the CTO, Cyber Command, etc., to do a global call. So we asked countries and cities around the world with 8 international partners, how do we keep small businesses as secure as Fortune 500 companies? And it's kind of crazy that that's a challenge, that that's something that is a unique idea to ask. How are we going to keep this massive market safe is a place where there is simply not enough innovation. So we had over 170 proposals from around the world. We've narrowed it down and we'll be announcing the finalists soon. And then we'll be working with those finalists to help deploy their services across the city and then expand that ideally to our international partners. But the main theme is that the fact that we need to spur that innovation is something we're excited about, and we know we need to do it quickly because we need there to be great solutions, not just for these huge companies, but also for small businesses that make it easy to use, where it's not your responsibility to think about cybersecurity. We need solutions that take that responsibility off your hands and make you feel safe, but you also still know that you're doing something and you're aware of the risks.
So, Jon, thank you, Brigit. Jon, can you talk to us a little bit more about what you're seeing from your position at Mastercard about the risks that small businesses are facing? Where are these attacks coming from? What does it look like when they see them? And then, again, what is the impact against small businesses?
Yes. So we're all, as Ken was talking about, we're all under attack on a daily basis. And the bad guys really don't care in many cases how big or how small you are, except for the price tag they asked. We're seeing a lot of the same threats. So you have nation states, you have big enterprises like Mastercard with 650 people in a security office, and then you have a mom and pop with 10 people, and they're seeing some of the same malware out there, and they're no way prepared for that. And if they are hit with malware, whether they pay or not, there's a good chance they're going to go out of business. So we saw that as a challenge. We want to protect the ecosystem, so we're concerned about our customers as well as our cardholders and in general, all of society. So that's why we've sponsored, I don't know if you wanted me to jump into the why we did this, but
Yeah, go for it.
we sponsored the Global Cyber Alliance Toolkit so that small and medium businesses would have these freely available tools and not just a checklist to say, go do this, this, and that, because it's hard to have, one of your people's dedicated, not even dedicated, but like, oh, by the way, you got to take care of security. Well, what do? They don't have the training in many cases. They don't know where to go. Well, they can go to the GCA toolkit, cybersecurity toolkit, and they can get free tools, not just a checklist of things that they can't understand. They can get videos, they can get the tools that they can actually employ. And if you just focus on the top 5 controls that was put out by the Center for Internet Security, which the GCA toolkit addresses, you can reduce your risk by approximately 85%. So that's something we thought was valuable, and we're glad to be a partner there.
So I'm gonna dive a little bit more into that since Jon brought it up. So with the Global Cyber Alliance, one of the things that we did and that we heard from our members asking us to help solve was the risk for small business. How do we make small businesses more secure? Because most small businesses don't have the knowledge about cybersecurity, and many of them don't have the resources, either in personnel or the financial resources, to go out and buy enterprise security, which can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So what we did was we looked at the best advice out there, which comes from an organization called the Center for Internet Security. It's in upstate New York. Some of the best minds in cybersecurity in the country work there. The United Kingdom's National Cybersecurity Center, they are leading on cybersecurity globally right now, as well as Australia's Cybersecurity Center, who is also leading on cybersecurity. And we looked at the advice that they give. What are the steps, what are the actions that need to be taken to reduce your cyber risk? And based on that, and it was all aligned, based on those top things, we put together a toolkit for small businesses, and we tried to strip out the jargon, make it easy as possible to navigate, use plain language, and all of the tools in it are free for you to use. You don't have to pay for anything. You just go to gcatoolkit.org, and we'll be sending this information out so you don't have to remember it. gcatoolkit.org. You don't have to log in if you don't want to. There's a newsletter that you can sign up if you want to stay apprised of information, but you go in there and it will walk you through the steps that you need to take and the tools that you need to use to be more secure. And with that, we're now starting a series of workshops to help do some hands-on teaching about how to use the toolkit. And we'll actually be back here in Harlem on November 7th, working with Silicon Harlem and the Chamber of Commerce to facilitate that workshop. And we'll, again, be sending more information out about that as well. So with that, I wanted to turn to some of the other things that are happening in cybersecurity to support small businesses here in New York. Jon, I know that there's a few initiatives that you wanted to talk about, and I suspect that Brigit and Kenn may have some other things that they want to say as well. So, Jon, why don't we start with you? If you want to talk a little bit maybe about the Carnegie Endowment Initiative and maybe a little bit more about the NICE initiative.
Yeah, so I'm fortunate enough to work with the National Incentive for Cyber Education. It was started at the national level in 2008, and there is a national level working group and different subgroups that focus on things like education specifically, workforce. How do we provide opportunities in the workforce at all levels, coming out of high school, coming out of college, coming out of even prison? There's all kinds of initiatives going on across the country because we have a serious shortfall in the talent pipeline out there. So we're doing a few things there. So within the NICE initiative, there are just a number of programs around the country. One thing is just bringing it together and then trying to share that information. So that's a NIST organization. So National Institute of Standards and Technology sponsors it. So if you Google the NICE and NIST, or you probably don't remember the whole thing, National Center for Cyber Education, but there's a lot of initiatives ongoing that you can learn about, and tools that can help you, as well as recommendations for the workforce, how people can get into the workforce, how they can get scholarships. We're also providing a tuition payback plan with Microsoft and with Workday. We're paying up to $75,000 per student to pay back your college debt, all levels. Doesn't matter if it's undergraduate, graduate, or others. But that's just one thing that we're doing along with many other initiatives.
So, and I would jump in and say, if you are looking to transition careers, or you have a young person in your life that is thinking about what they want to do,
Hello?
I would encourage you to look into cybersecurity. You have 4 people here working in cybersecurity that come from 4 very different backgrounds, from technology to law to communications, and there are a wealth of high-paying jobs out there if you have the right education, and there are tremendous opportunities. So with that, I would like to ask the question, what other resources are out there? What can we do to ensure that New York City businesses have the resources that they need to become more cyber secure? Ken?
Thank you very much. So, as a prosecutor, one of the key things that I always need in my lane of trying to figure out what the threat landscape looks like for New York City and for small businesses is information. When there's an attack that happens to you personally, or some compromise that happens to your business, there is sometimes a response of, how do I just get past this? I need to keep going with my business. I need to address this. It's really important that you don't sit on that information. In collaboration with NYPD, you can refer and contact any of your precincts, and they are now essentially mandatory reporters, that when you turn that information in as something happened to your business, we actually move on it very quickly. Not only is it my goal to try to figure out how to figure out who was behind that attack, but all of that data helps me figure out how to better advise you on cybersecurity going forward. The criminals are the best level of knowledge. They're the ones that we have access to their intelligence. We know what they're doing, why they're doing it, and how they're doing it. So my request to you is, if something does happen to you or your business, contact NYPD or the Manhattan District Attorney's Office so we don't lose that intelligence. Our other cybersecurity platforms are with City College, in terms of making sure that individuals who are attending City College have opportunities to work within the law enforcement space. We've got a tremendous amount of talent, and we are looking for opportunities to work with academic institutions as strong as City College and others. So those are 2 key points for me.
Brigit?
So really quickly, I just want to echo the points about what an appealing career it is to work in cybersecurity. I'm not a cybersecurity professional, and I should be, because of all the statistics that I'm learning as working for the city. So you can earn $85,000 as an entry-level person with no educational credentials. You need to pass the certain certifications, sure, but there's programs that can help train you to do that where you do not need a college degree, for example. There is currently 0% unemployment in cybersecurity. Yeah, there's 20,000 unfilled jobs in New York. And so that's why we're working on this. We have a program called the Full Stack Cyber Bootcamp that is a 17-week program. We had people that came from that program straight out of high school. We had people who were Uber drivers. We had people with master's degrees. This is a very appealing opportunity to transition into. This is something where there's lots of opportunities for you offered through the city. So please reach out to any of us. Go to cybernyc.com, and you can learn more about how to transition into this very lucrative, very secure career.
Thanks, Brigit. So I'd like to open the floor up to questions. If anybody has questions about cybersecurity, go ahead.
Thank you guys for having this panel. I have a question. I'm building a financial technology company right now, and it's a small business, and you guys are actually scaring me. But I would like to know what the city is doing to help small business be able to afford these programs or these malware cyber programs to help businesses be less at risk of this.
So first, I would encourage you to go and visit the toolkit that my organization has built. I don't make any money off of it. All the tools in it are free, and it will, if you go through it and implement the tools that are there, you will significantly reduce your risk. But so that's gcatoolkit.org. Or you can visit globalcyberalliance.org, and we'll make sure that that information gets sent out. And so there's a tremendous amount of resources there. But I think that the city is also working on some programs to bring cybersecurity to people. Brigit, do you want to talk about that?
Well, one thing that would be particularly relevant for you is that we're working with startups. So we're working with startups specifically to try to encourage cybersecurity startups and any startup that is vaguely relevant to cyber, which once you've attended this panel and once everyone learns more and more, you realize cybersecurity is relevant to everything. To a financial tech startup, of course, cybersecurity is a part of that. And so we have 2 new accelerator programs, one out of Columbia and one with Jerusalem Venture Partners, that are actually have their applications open now. They'll be starting in early next year. And we also are opening the Global Cyber Center, which will be a building in Chelsea that will be home to hosting 150 cybersecurity related events a year. So there we will be hosting free training programs, networking nights, interview opportunities, and just numerous opportunities, hopefully with all of my friends here. And if you guys are interested in hosting any events, that's an event almost every day. So our friends at SOSA are really eager to collaborate on any ideas if you'd like to learn more or get involved.
Great.
cybernyc.com. It might be .org,
Great.
honestly. I
Thank
should know
you.
that.
And then I
something.
would also say if you're able to attend the workshop that we're having on November 7th with Silicon Harlem, I would attend that event. And I would say that the statistics are scary, but the good news is you can do something about it. You don't have to stay in this posture of being unsecure. There are tools out there to help you, and with a small investment in time on your part, you can become more cyber secure. I liken it to, as a small business owner, there are so many things that you have to learn about to run your business. You have to learn about how to stay financially healthy. You may have to learn about how to run payroll and do HR and all of these things that maybe you didn't get into business to do, but you have to learn them because in order to run your business successfully, that's what you have to do. This is just one more thing that you have to do, and many of the tools that you implement will actually make your business better. For example, there's a way to authenticate your email, secure it so that your email doesn't get used to spam your customers or potentially compromise you with a phishing attack. But the good news about that, in addition to reducing your cyber risk, it also supports better marketing, because the people on the other end, the receivers of your marketing emails, have a higher likelihood of receiving it because it won't go into their spam folder. So being cyber secure is actually really smart business on multiple levels, and you can take control of it and do something about it. Any other questions? Yes.
For Brigit, you mentioned cybernyc.com or net.
Org. We think it's org.
Okay, all right. You have to be a resident of the city.
It depends on the program. So, for instance, attending events at SOSA, certainly not, and participating in those, certainly not. Going to the boot camp programs, also you don't need to. For some of the accelerator opportunities, you need to have somebody based in New York, but that varies, and we're just launching these programs now, so in a lot of ways, could be open to feedback on that regard. We're, of course, trying to make New York City safe. We're trying to bring people to New York City, but as we all know, any of these attacks and any lack of security can easily ripple across the region. So we need to collaborate. We're excited to collaborate. So no.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
So you've explained a few things about how to help people in terms of defenses against cyber just wonder what the panel thinks of the models to address problems that have crystallized when somebody, like small business, an individual, experiences an attack and experiences harm from that. What do you make of what's in place today in order to come back from it?
So I'm going to turn the microphone over to, I think, Ken to answer that question.
Yeah.
So just so that I understand the question, and obviously I'll share it with my colleagues. In terms of getting back on your feet and also understanding what the future threats look like, okay? So the back on your feet, when I spoke a little bit about New York City CCSI, that's not just about attacks on municipal governments, that's attacks across all sectors. We see within New York and associated counties here, attacks where against a small business where essentially they're crippled. So what do? First thing is you need to notify individuals within law enforcement to make sure that they're aware of it. They have resources to assist. You cannot hear?
I didn't talk to someone else.
Oh, they're talking to somebody else. So that's number one. Number two, I would recommend becoming part of many of the things we talked about here. Why? So for New York City CCSI, that cyber professional group in New York City, they are on the leading edge.
I'm already sharing.
Me too. And I was just in the middle of sharing it. They're on the leading edge of dealing with what the problems are right now. I was just overseas with the district attorney at Europol talking about some of the same issues that are affecting cybersecurity and small businesses. These initiatives that we're talking about here are places where really the practitioners are working together to think about the current problems and the future ones to make sure you're in good posture. I know Jon may have some counsel as well in terms of sort of what's the immediate thing you need to do to get back on your feet, and Brigit as well.
I was going to say for the sake of time, go Yankees, but I make sure. No, just real quickly on that. So we just started something called the Cyber Peace Institute with Microsoft. I know we're good partners, and the Hewlett Foundation, where there's more. It just started, more to come in the future on how we can help get attribution out there, which a small business doesn't care who's doing this, but we're also trying to provide assistance that can be globally available to anybody who's a victim of a certain malware strain or specialized attack. But it's not going to be localized to every small business. It'll be something that hits everybody. We're going to provide assistance through the Cyber Peace Institute. So that was just one thing.
Great. So I think that we are almost out of time. So I'm going to say to everyone, you have 10 seconds to offer up one last bit of wisdom. So Jon, we'll start with you.
Go to the Global Cybersecurity Alliance Toolkit. And the GCA Toolkit is not just for small, medium businesses. It's also good for individual users. When I actually sat down the first time and heard about all the tools, I'm like, oh my God, I need to go get that for myself. So I'd recommend to do that for sure.
Okay, Brigit, 10 seconds.
cybernyc.org. But also, we need to change the vision of cybersecurity to be something that's exciting and important. We need people to want to work in this field, to want to protect themselves. It's a really heroic opportunity, honestly, and we need to all work together to change the vision of cybersecurity to be as heroic as it truly is.
Okay, Ken, you've got 5 seconds.
I want 7. The district attorney took $25 million of crooks' money to create the Global Cyber Alliance. Those are tools to put, not to focus on criminal action, putting people in jail, but to help all of us do a better job of protecting ourselves. So globalcyberalliance.org, and I want you to visit come visit me on New York City CCSI, that cyber professional group, okay? Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. globalcyberalliance.org. Thank you.